professionals today don't get that in their diet in reference to how they train, how they work out, or whatever when it comes to boxing, right? And that is one of the things that I bring to the table when it comes to training, right? I want to say this, you know what I mean, because I think it's noteworthy worthy to um, address this issue, right? There is cats out there in the boxing game today. I mean, top notch contenders, right? One in particular that comes to mind would be Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr., in my opinion, right, is a fantastic boxer. You know what I mean? Um, I would hate to think that because of what transpired between him and Terrence Bud Crawford, right, in the sense that Terrence Bud Crawford dethroned Errol Spence Jr. for his unified WB, WBC, WBO, and the WBA welterweight championship belts, right? And George Bud Crawford dethroned the unified welterweight champion of the world at that particular time, which was Errol Spence Jr. Right? I'm making mention of this because yesterday, actually, I dropped Errol Spence Jr. A text message, right? And I was attempting to encourage him to come holler at me. You know what I mean? Don't get off into who is this cat, right? I mean, what can he do for me, right? You will never know unless you, unless and until you get the scrotums necessary, right, to check it out, right? I can tell you all kind of things when it comes to boxing, but that don't serve no purpose unless we have a situation where I have hands-on access to you, right? So I can demonstrate to you that, look, man, I know, you know what I'm saying, that you're a great boxer. But a great boxer needs a great trainer, right? And no offense to uh, any trainers that uh, Elvis Jr. has been up under, right? I'm not going to go off and mention names because I don't want to make it seem like that I'm like talking down about a trainer. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just talking about me, right? What I see in this particular boxer, right? And that is greatness. I see greatness in Earl Spence Jr., right? And I just want to say that sometimes it's more than one's ability to be great that um, encourages them to pursue greatness, right? Sometimes it is the functional equivalent of not only seeking greatness, but being in the atmosphere of greatness, coaches included. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, in this instance, that it wouldn't be a bad idea, Errol Spence Jr., to take me up on that text message, right? You know what I'm saying? Let's have a couple hours in the gym. See if I have um, the boxing capabilities, right, to push you into doing what you already really know how to do. But I think that you're lacking the encouragement from a person that knows how to encourage. And that's what I do. You know what I mean? I mean, on this podcast. I mean, everybody can't do this. You know what I mean? Everybody cannot get on the air and go to talking about whatever subject it is that you're talking about, right? You have to have the the wherewithal, right, to be able to correctly exhibit that you know what you're talking about for people to pay you any attention. I mean, that's boxing. That's anything else. Being the president of the United States, minus Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump is just, I don't know, man, not a good president for one thing, and he's super silly. You know what I'm saying? The stuff that Donald Trump does is super silly. You know what I mean? So we're not going to get off into the politics, right? Which is another one of my expertise. And I was at one point where I think maybe I need to go and do it. Um, I know that I can attract people to the table. You know what I mean? But how can I do that when I have a overwhelming desire to get with boxing, right? But anyway, back to Errol Spence, man. I am making this primary second attempt to get your attention. If anybody know Errol Spence, have him tell him Jack Daniels, the Boxers Trainers Challenge, is trying to seek his attention, right? And I assure you, brother, that give me the opportunity to turn your thought process back around where it needs to be and get you back in the game, right? Because right now, your thought process, your boxing desire is not where it should be, in my opinion. Now, you can holler and scream and talk and tell me I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but a person that loves the sport of boxing as much as Errol Spence Jr. has demonstrated he does will not be out of the game after he suffered this loss. A great boxer, and Errol Spence Jr. is a great boxer, right? Will scratch and claw himself right back up to the top. But again, you can't do that without me. I said that. You cannot do that, man. You can get into you can come back to the sport and uh drag your feet with another trainer. But I'm just telling y'all, I got a special gift when it comes to this game, man. I got a special gift from the creator when it comes to pushing and putting a person in a position where he comfortably feels like he's great. And with that alone, I'm gonna push you to greatness. I can do that, man. I mean, y'all can say what you want to say, but I'm telling you, for those that know me, right, that really haven't experienced um, uh, my expertise in the gym, that, in my opinion, is a disservice to the individual in question and those that don't really know me. But anyway, we got that off the chest. Let's talk about a little boxing, right? Look, check this out. On the 13th of November, 13th of November. Let's be sure. Excuse me. Pop right up. See that? Pop right up. November 22nd, 2025. A and B Arena, Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We have, in my opinion, one of the best fights of the year we're about to be in possession of, right? In the sense that um, Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. for Brian Norman Jr. welterweight WBO welterweight championship belt of the world is on the line, right? And this is going to be a great fight, right? I mean, I have a lot of respect for Brian Norman Jr. And first of all, let me say this. My mother, her father, and my grandmother were Normans. You know what I mean? So I know that that's it. I just broke that down in reference to my boxing abilities and uh, that I have this certain um, instinctive ability, right, to make it, no, to bring out the best in a person when it comes to boxing. That's who I am, right? And I said that to say this. If Brian Norman Jr. and Brian Norman Sr. are a part of my bloodline, look, I love Devin Haney. You know what I mean? But if them Normans are a part of my bloodline, And Brian Norman Jr. really talks like he could potentially be a part of my bloodline because he doesn't appear to be scared of SHRT, right? And he is leading me to believe that he gonna put something on Devin Haney. Now, let me say this: y'all know that I have a certain love for Devin Haney. You know what I mean? Not just because he's a good kid, but he's an excellent boxer. Devin Haney can box. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that solely because I have a compassion for Devin Haney and the Haneys, right? I'm saying it because Devin Haney can literally box. You know what I mean? I went through some tapes about 30, 40 minutes ago on Devin Haney, right? Went back when Devin Haney was about, I want to say 18, 19, 20, 22. I mean, to see Devin Haney prepare himself for a fight, I mean, that's Devin Haney. You know what I mean? To see Devin Haney when Devin Haney was like 18, 19, 20, 22, you know what I'm saying? To preparing himself for a fight, if Devin Haney can get back to that mindset, or if he's in that mindset where he works out, works on his craft like he did when he was 18, 19, 20, 22, bloodline, Norman or not, Devin Haney, under those circumstances that I just spoke on, is unbeatable. If Devin Haney shows up when he did when he was with the same stuff that he showed up when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, Brian Norman Jr. don't stand a chance. You know what I'm saying? And again, I say that with a ton of respect for Brian Norman Jr. Now, I'm not just mentioning this because Brian Norman Jr. has knocked out his last two, I know for sure, two opponents in good fashion, right? But I am equally saying that because Brian Norman Jr. has worked to be in the position that he's in as a champion. You know what I mean? The kid is only 22 years old. He got what, 28 and old? Man, man. You can't make any differentiations between what he went through to get to that point because a lot of people could say, well, he fought bums. You know, they could say that. But we're talking about a 24-year-old WBO welterweight champion of the world, right? What is it? With 22 knockouts. This kid practices just as hard as the next man that wants to be at the top of the table when it comes to boxing, right? So you can't take nothing from it. But I am just saying, in regards to my expertise and my level of sport, right, that if in the event that Devin Haney comes in swinging them hands, moving them feet, like he did when he was 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, like he did when he fought Vasily Lomachenko, son, Brian Norman Jr., you don't stand a chance. Not nothing personal, right? I mean, I wish Brian Norman Jr. All the uh, luck in the world, all the good will in the world, but you got a tall order to whoop Devin Haney. If Devin Haney prepares himself like he did when he was preparing himself for all those championship bouts that he did before he ran into Brian Norman Sr., excuse me, Brian Norman Jr., right? That's who I want to see show up, right? The last fight, I mean, a lot of people can critique it in different ways, right? I mean, a lot of people say he was running. A lot of people say no, that was excellent boxing, right? And I'm gonna be frank with you. I think that it was excellent boxing. You know what I mean? I think it was excellent boxing. You made it think it was running. But then again, uh, the people that say that it was running, right, or 9 times out of 10, the people that hate Devin Haney. You know what I mean? It's a lot of it's a lot of people out there that hate Devin Haney, right? You know what I mean? I mean, actually, they don't really hate Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? The notion is that they dislike uh, Papa Haney, Bill Haney. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why. You know what I mean? I mean, as Bill Haney notes it, it's just boxing. Whatever Bill Haney says, it's just boxing. It ain't nothing personal. You know what I mean? It's about, you know what I'm saying, promoting what Bill Haney said is the best fighter in the world, Devin Haney. You know what I'm saying? And why would y'all have a problem with, you know what I'm saying, a dad, right, promoting his son um, to be the best champion in the world? Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Y'all need to stop hating. But anyway, back to Brian Norman Jr. and Devin Green Haney. Look, I am really anticipating this fight, man, because I know um, a good fight when I see it or hear about it, about its forthcoming. You know what I mean? So let's get ready for um, the type of fight like the Thriller in Manila, George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. Well, that guy. Can you can't yeah, there you can see that guy. Muhammad Ali. Float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Ain't no man better than me. And I feel the same way. You know what I'm saying? I feel the same. Look, man, I'm feeling a little good about coming on tonight. You know what I'm saying? And contrary to the fact that I got to stop worrying so much about the numbers. You know what I mean? Um, as it stands thus far, I haven't even looked at them. And I'm not going to be looking at them. No, I'm going to come on, give a presentation on whatever the subject matter is and keep it moving. You know what I mean? But one thing for sure and two things for certain, you can best believe, right, that if I bring us up to the table, it's been totally critiqued, it's absolutely correct, truthfully speaking, right, and I'm not going to try to humiliate nobody in my travels. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to. I ain't gonna try anything, and that's one thing that we, especially as black people, should avoid using that term. Try, right? No, we ain't trying to do nothing. We doing, right? So I'm going to do the very best I can to bring my podcast to where I need to be. You know what I mean? Talking about boxing. You know what I mean? Telling the truth about uh, the boxing events. You know what I mean? The sport of boxing that, again, man, I love the sport of boxing. I do. I love the sport of boxing. You know what I mean? And um, again, what I'm gonna stop doing is trying to um, please everybody with different angles, right? You know what I mean? Here's one I picked up. You know what I mean? I thought about that. I mean, that somebody else uses that. You know what I mean? What I'm basically saying is, I have to be in order to be successful, especially in the sport of boxing as a pundit, right? As an analyst, right? You have to be original, right? You know what I mean? Like Coach Jack Daniels. No, oh, who was how? No, it was. I was trying to figure out how I was stating that. I had heard it from somewhere else, and now I'm like, that ain't me. You know what I mean? It was like, what's going on? It's your boy, Coach Jack Daniels, the boxer. Look, man, look, I have to be practical, and I think that trying to mimic somebody else or trying to be so hipped, right, where people start to, what I'm saying, wonder if me, me, if I'm doing more to please that type of mindset rather than to please the mindset of the audience when it comes to boxing. Now I'm going with the pleasing the mindset of the audience when it comes to boxing rather than mimicking something that it really ain't me. You know what I'm saying? So from here on out, man, I'm gonna stick to the script. You know what I mean? How you doing? This is what we're talking about today, and be original. You know what I mean? Be original, be honest, right? And just tell the truth. Somebody told me, Aki boxing. I was talking to Bill Haney one day, and Aki boxing was having a conversation with Bill Haney, and it was Bill Haney was working with uh, creating a podcast, right? That particular day, so he had his podcast people there, and uh, Aki boxing came into the frame, right? And I was like, he said, "Man, you know what it is?" I said, hockey boxing, correct? He said, yeah, man. And he said, man, Bill was telling him that I had a podcast, right? So Aki's uh, advice to me was, man, you're gonna be all right. All you gotta do is keep it real and keep it moving. You know what I mean? Uh, you're gonna be just fine, right? But obviously, I kind of like missed the mark when it comes to being in the position that I need to be in, right? And I really kind of think at this juncture that I've been doing too much. You know what I mean? I've been doing too much, and which amounts to nothing. You see what I'm saying? So what I gotta do is I just gotta be punctual, take my time, make sure the the numbers are correct, the subject matter is accurate, right? And keep it moving. You know what I mean? I mean, I got a nice setup here. You know what I mean? I have all the ammunition, if you will. What I mean by that, the internet stuff that I need. I've learned a lot of ins and outs about um, presentations and things of that sort. So a few things. Actually, one more thing I have to learn before I am nailed down to the point where there's no logical explanation for why I can't succeed, just like the next journalist at the top. That is my ambition, to talk boxing, but to be in a position where I am being successful, right? Being uh, what is that? Monetarize, right? I need to be in a position where I'm getting paid for doing this work, right? A lot of, I mean, most of these cats that's on every day and got podcasts with huge numbers, right? They're getting paid. Monetarization, right? That's it is a word that I was looking for, right? I can get monetized, man. You know what I mean? And I want to get monetized. I'm not going to be in a position, psychologically or otherwise, where I'm questioning the validity of something that I know about. Boxing is something that I know about. You know what I mean? Something that I love, right? So for me to just, you know what I mean, find explanations and find reasons for why I'm not being said is absolutely unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I know that I'm one of the best in the business when it comes to being intelligent enough to make a unique present, not just a presentation, a unique presentation, right? But I have to start being original. You know what I mean? I have to start being me. You know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that easy your boy. Go, Jack. No, no, no. That's that's somebody else. I have to be original. You know what I'm saying? So look, man, um, I'm going to yeah, I'll disagree. Okay, I am going to cut it down tonight and uh let y'all know that I really appreciate y'all spending this little time with me. And note that I'll be back tomorrow, if nothing else, but to come on the screen and just talk boxing. Yeah, don't give it down right now if you're listening or not, because there will come a time when Jack Daniels of the Boxing Trainers Channel will be renowned. That being said, hit the subscription button, hit the like button, man. Drop a comment in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about how well the old man, the old boxing analyst is doing. Okay. Good night, man. Later.